The concept of forgiveness occupies a central place in both religious and psychological discourse. In Christianity, as expressed in the Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ, forgiveness is framed as a moral obligation and a conscious choice. Similarly, modern psychology often promotes forgiveness as a rational and therapeutic act that individuals can cultivate for mental well-being. However, when examined through the lens of Shaktism, such claims to intellectual or moral superiority become philosophically unstable. At the heart of Śākta philosophy lies a radically different understanding of human agency. All mental states and actions are governed by the interplay of the three guṇas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. These are not merely tendencies, but fundamental constituents of nature, dynamically shaping perception, cognition, and behavior. What appears as a choice to forgive is, from this perspective, an emergent property of guṇic dominance, particularly the rise of Sattva, rather than an independent act of will. Furthermore, the very sense of individuality that underpins the idea of moral choice is rooted in ahamkara, the constructed I-maker. In Śākta thought, ahamkara is neither absolute nor self-sufficient. It arises and dissolves under the influence of Shakti, the ultimate dynamic reality. Consequently, the agent who claims, "I choose to forgive," is itself a contingent formation, lacking ultimate autonomy. The notion of a freely choosing subject, central to both Christian ethics and psychological models, is thus called into question. From this standpoint, the Christian emphasis on forgiveness as a deliberate moral act risks overstating human agency. While Christianity does incorporate divine grace, it still maintains that individuals bear responsibility for choosing forgiveness. This presupposes a stable, enduring self capable of independent moral decision-making. Śākta philosophy, by contrast, dissolves this assumption by situating all action within the flux of prakriti and the overarching power of Shakti. What is interpreted as a moral failure to forgive may instead reflect a predominance of Tamas or Rajas, conditions not freely chosen but cosmically conditioned. Similarly, psychological frameworks that advocate forgiveness as a rational strategy for well-being rely on an implicit model of the self as a coherent decision-maker. Techniques aimed at cultivating forgiveness assume that individuals can intentionally reframe emotions and override resentment. Yet from a Śākta perspective, even these cognitive processes are expressions of guṇic activity. The capacity to reframe, to empathize, or to let go is not universally accessible at will. It depends on the underlying constitution of the mind, which itself is shaped by forces beyond conscious control. This does not mean that forgiveness can't have beneficial effects, nor does it reject its value within particular frameworks. Rather, forgiveness, whether religiously mandated or psychologically recommended, can't be regarded as intellectually superior or universally correct. In Śākta philosophy, forgiveness is better understood as a state that arises when conditions permit, especially when Sattva predominates and grace operates. It is not a universal imperative binding on all individuals at all times, nor a reliable indicator of moral or psychological advancement. To judge individuals based on their capacity to forgive is therefore to misunderstand the deeper determinants of human behavior. In conclusion, the idea of forgiveness, as articulated in Christianity and modern psychology, cannot be considered intellectually superior when evaluated through the framework of Śākta philosophy. By exposing the conditioned nature of agency and the constructed character of the self, Śākta thought undermines the very foundation upon which the ideal of forgiveness as a conscious choice is built. What remains is a more relativistic and metaphysically grounded understanding. Forgiveness is not a universal duty or achievement, but a contingent manifestation of the cosmic play of Shakti.